I'm uncharacteristically nervous about doing this today for some reason, just to share. I don't know why. Um, for those of you who grew up with Santa Claus, which I think is probably most people in this room, do you remember how it felt when you found out the truth? After some years of really believing in something so wonderful and so magical and that was going to bring you everything and knew when you were sleeping and knew when you were awake, and then to find out, oh, right? So some people shrug it off, kind of always guessed it, right? For some people, there's a real huge disappointment, like a betrayal. And for some people, they just get hugely angry. Like, you lied to me. I read a article from a man who said that this was the first disillusionment that kind of ruined his faith in um, special things for his whole life. So it can be a very big deal. So today I want to talk about disillusionment. The topic came up because last Saturday I led the meditation group for the lay-led meditation group that is meeting with the people who are doing the retreat from afar. They're doing the meditations on the 4 establishments of mindfulness every day, and then we lead them once a week. So there was about 60 people that came for this meditation. So people are really involved and engaged. And afterwards, after the meditation, we ask if there's any questions or if we can support people. So one woman very courageously said she had been really focusing on the very first set of meditations where you look at the 4 conceptual errors. Conceiving your body to be the place where a real self exists, conceiving your feelings to be what a real self experiences, conceiving your mind to be a real self, and conceiving phenomena is to be that which makes us pure or afflicted. So she was especially focusing on the one on the body. And the meditation says, consider if there's a self that resides in the body, where is it? And the conclusion is, if you can't draw a line around it, rest in the spaciousness of but not being able to identify a solid, real, independent self. So she says, I'm doing that, and I get so angry. She said, anger keeps coming up. Why am I so angry? And I said, fantastic. And she kind of, what? So we talked about that a little bit, and then someone else also then kind of encouraged by the bravery of this person to bring forth her not so happy conclusion, said that she was also doing meditations, especially on the body, and feeling really discouraged. And I also said, this is not fantastic per se, but this is also, in a way, a good sign. So let's talk about how we can work with that or what that really means. So I thought probably we may all be coming up with some of those versions of anger or discouragement or overwhelmedness or somebody recently said, oh my God, I'm going to die. Um, those kinds of things are exactly what this meditation is designed to produce. So we can't stay in the anger and we can't stay in the discouragement. So I went back to look at what Venerable Chödrön and His Holiness the Dalai Lama say about disillusionment. They talk about it in the Approaching the Buddhist Path. In the section where they talk about emotions have 2 sides. There's some emotions have 2 sides. So there's like a good version and a not so good. So disillusionment generally we think of as something that is a painful experience. It is. It's like, what? No Santa Claus? What? The thing I believed in my whole life doesn't exist? um, all kinds of disillusionments. I mean, we start with Santa Claus and we get disillusioned throughout our whole lifetime, over and over and over. People that we thought we trusted can't be, whatever. But there's another side where where in the text what they say is another kind of disillusionment is helpful on the path to liberation, and practitioners deliberately cultivate it. That's what we're doing with these 4 establishments of mindfulness. They say, here we contemplate the defects of cyclic existence and the shortcomings of craving samsaric rebirth. Right? There's so much glitter in samsara, so much dazzling stuff. And I really resonated with this person sharing, because I remember my recollection is that this went on for a couple of years, that I was really working with anger when I kept meditating and realizing that everything I had put my whole life and energy into was not what I thought it was. And whose fault was that? It took me a long time to realize it was mine. The whole world, my mother, society, everybody had told me that all of these things were going to make me happy and I would be successful and my life would have been meaningful and worthwhile. And then, oh my God, you're telling me it is not? I have done this, and this. So what? So what? And so, fortunately, there was also that part of me that resonated with the fact that what the Buddha was saying was true. And I trusted my teacher enough to keep going. But I do think it's a place where sometimes people can bail there. It's like, oh, you're telling me that what I've spent my whole life doing is not right? I'm out of here, I need to keep doing it. We cling so tightly to it. So but there's another way of dealing with it. And that's what we're doing with this practice. Venerable Chödrön has a newly released little booklet called 365 Gems of Wisdom that is a free distribution book, where she also talks about this disillusionment. She said, when we talk about the disadvantages of cyclic existence, that is a realistic attitude. We are not being pessimistic. We are seeing what cyclic existence is and what it is not. That disillusionment is counteracting the mind that says, I'm going to find ultimate pleasure, delight, happiness, and bliss in cyclic existence, which is what we're all looking for. She said that's actually an unrealistic attitude because that is never going to happen. Never going to happen. We need to see cyclic existence for what it is so that we can deal with it in a practical way, which is to cultivate the wish and the determination to get out of it and to overcome it. So when we have anger or despair, we have to ask the question that Venerable Chödrön always reminds us, is that the conclusion that the Buddha wanted us to come to? I mean, think about it. Is that why he taught this? No. So if you're depressed, Venerable said, it means you still see samsara as a pleasure grove. And you're still longing to get what you want. So when I was talking to the people at the class, I said, at the meditation, I know from my own experience, I said, when that anger comes up, I have to look at what am I hanging onto? Because when that attachment doesn't get what it wants, that's when anger arises. And discouragement is really just a different personality's response to the same thing. Some of us get angry, some of us get depressed. Same thing. What are we hanging onto? And that's each person's, personal journey to discover. But it's like this, we're hanging on to our pleasure and this intent to be happy and our things that we believe in so tightly. And we see how much energy this takes. And as we do these meditations and start to realize that, get a more realistic attitude, that grip relaxes. The energy releases. And we have much more energy to actually pursue the path. And Jay Rinpoche tells us fairly clearly in the name of it, 3 Principal Aspects of the Path. He says, for you embodied beings bound by the craving for existence without the pure determination to be free from the ocean of cyclic existence, there is no way for you to satisfy the attractions to its pleasurable effects. all that glitter we are so attracted to. If we don't cultivate this, there is no way that we will be able to develop what needs to be done to get out of cyclic existence. And without that wish to get out of cyclic existence, our practice is pretty short term at best. Without this disillusionment about cyclic existence, there is no determination to be free. Without the determination to be free, no matter how much we admire bodhicitta, there is no basis for it because we don't really know what we're wanting everybody to be free from. And without bodhicitta, of course, there's no awakening. So this process of that the Buddha taught in the Four Truths is very, very precious part of our practice. So that's why she's angry, fantastic. We just have to keep going. And remember that the Buddha taught Four Truths. We don't stop at the first two. It's not just that we look at recognizing the true dukkha. It's not that we just look at the causes. Why did he teach those? Because there is a way out. There is the cessation of these, and there is a pathway to do it. So I found a very beautiful, do I have time to do this? A very beautiful section in the Flower Ornament Sutra where the Buddha talks about why he taught this, that I found very inspiring. So I want to finish with this. He said, I find satisfaction in dispensing happiness to all beings in all villages, towns, cities, regions, countries, and kingdoms. I provide them with dharmic spiritual protection, and I gradually develop them toward omniscience. That is to say, I inspire disillusionment in people who live in great palaces and mansions, and I take away their various kinds of anguish, and I then teach them the facts of reality in order to extricate them from all unrealistic preoccupations and cause them to understand the true nature of things. I teach true realities to those people who have long-standing habits of affection for and involvement with their mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, friends, and acquaintances in order to help them become involved with Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. I teach true realities to people who are deeply involved with their spouses and children in order to free them from craving self-centered pleasures, to develop their equanimity towards all beings, and to help them develop universal compassion. I teach true realities to people who are addicted to consumer pleasures in order to help them develop transcendent detachment. I teach reality to people obsessed with the delights of concerts, plays, and dances to help them find the joys of spiritual entertainments. I teach realities to people greedy for the enjoyment of sense objects to help them reach the sphere of the enlightened. I teach reality to people who are filled with anger in order to lead them to transcendent patience. I teach reality to people who are depressed in order to perfect their transcendent creativity. I teach reality to people whose minds are confused to help them attain the transcendent meditation of realized Buddhas. So on the basis of our meditating on the foulness of the body and the various body meditations and all these various four establishments meditations, we develop our understanding of the situation that we are really in. We get a clearer picture of where we are and what's happening, realizing that this body is also the vehicle by which we practice. We don't throw it out, but we get a real clear picture of what it's useful for. And it's useful for following all of these steps the Buddha laid out right here in the Flower Ornament Sutra to help them attain the transcendent meditation of realized Buddhas. So let's do that. We have another, I don't know, what are we, 3 weeks in, 4 weeks in? We have a long time to go yet. So let's see how far we get with our disillusionment.